The machines beeped steadily in room 412 of St. Michael's Hospital as nurse. Rachel Bennett carefully wrung out the washcloth in warm water. She had been caring for this patient for 3 months now, ever since the car accident that left him in a coma. His chart read Julian Westbrook, age 35. She had learned from whispered conversations among the staff that he was some kind of tech millionaire, though you would never know it looking at him now. Money could not protect anyone from tragedy. Rachel was 28, 5 years into her nursing career, and she had learned to treat every patient with the same gentle dignity, regardless of who they were. But there was something about Julian that made her extra careful, extra tender in her ministrations. Maybe it was because no one ever came to visit him. "Good morning, Julian," she said softly, as she did every morning. "It is Tuesday, April 15th. The cherry blossoms are blooming outside. I wish you could see them." She spoke to him, even though he could not respond. The doctor said coma patients might be able to hear. And even if they could not, Rachel believed in treating people like people, not medical cases, as she bathed him. Moving the cloth across his shoulders with professional efficiency, tempered by kindness, she told him about her day, about the elderly patient in 405 who finally went home, about the new resident who fainted during his first surgery, small stories that filled the silence. "Your company called again yesterday," she said, gently cleaning around the bandages on his chest. "They wanted an update. I think they miss you." She had pieced together fragments of his life from those calls. Julian Westbrook had built a software company from nothing, made millions before 30. He had been driving home from his office when a drunk driver ran a red light. "I know you probably have important things waiting for you," Rachel continued. "But right now, the most important thing is healing. So take your time." She had just finished and was adjusting his pillow when she felt the slightest pressure against her hand. Rachel froze. She looked down at Julian's face and saw his eyelids flutter. "Julian," her heart hammered. "Can you hear me?" His eyes opened slowly, struggling to focus. When they finally found her face, Rachel saw confusion, pain, and something else she could not quite identify. "Where? His voice was barely a whisper. "Rough from months of disuse, you are at St. Michael's Hospital," Rachel said gently, reaching for the call button. "You were in an accident 3 months ago, but you are safe now. I am Rachel, your nurse." But his hand caught hers with surprising strength. "Wait," she paused, looking into his eyes. "You," he whispered. "I know your voice. The cherry blossoms, the patient in 405, I heard everything." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "You could hear me, all this time, trapped," Julian said, his voice gaining strength. "Could hear, could not move, could not speak. You were the only one who talked to me like I was still here." The implications crashed over Rachel. 3 months of being conscious but unable to communicate. 3 months of isolation, except for her daily visits, her gentle care, her constant conversation. "I am so sorry," she whispered. "You treated me with kindness when you thought I could not know the difference." Julian interrupted. "That tells me everything about who you are." The room filled with doctors within minutes. Rachel stepped back, letting them examine him. But Julian's eyes kept finding her in the crowd. Over the following days, as Julian regained his strength, he insisted that Rachel remained his primary nurse. The hospital administration was thrilled, and if he wanted a specific nurse, they would make it happen. But for Rachel and Julian, it was not about status. Something profound had formed during those months of one-sided conversation, a connection that most people never experienced. "Tell me about you," Julian said one afternoon during therapy. "I know about your terrible neighbor and your sister's wedding, but who is Rachel Bennett?" Rachel smiled, guiding his fingers through exercises. "My grandmother had a stroke when I was 18. I watched the nurses care for her with such compassion. I wanted to do that for other people." "You do," Julian said quietly. "You made me feel human when I could not even move." As weeks turned into months, Julian's recovery progressed remarkably. The doctors credited his determination, but Julian knew the truth. Rachel's presence, her encouragement, that was what pulled him through. "You should know," Julian said one evening, "my company wants me back. They have been very patient." Rachel's hand stilled. "That is wonderful, Julian. I told them I would only come back on one condition," he continued, "that they hire the best healthcare consultant to overhaul our employee wellness program. Someone who understands that people deserve dignity and care." Rachel resumed her work, confused. "That sounds good, Rachel," Julian said, catching her hand. "I want that consultant to be you." She stared at him. "Julian, I am a nurse, not a consultant. You know about compassion. You know about treating people like they matter. Those are the only qualifications I care about. I will pay you 3 times what you make here. You will help thousands of employees, and you will be saving me from going back to a world where people only saw my money." "I cannot just leave nursing," Rachel protested. "Why not? Please, Rachel, I need someone I can trust. Someone who chose kindness when they thought no one was watching." Rachel looked into his eyes and saw more than a job offer. She saw a man transformed by vulnerability, who had learned that true wealth was measured in human connection. "All right," she said softly, "but I have conditions." Julian smiled. "Name them." mental health support for every employee, flexible schedules for parents, paid leave for caregivers, and no one works so hard they end up in a hospital bed like you did. Done, Julian said immediately. Rachel hesitated. Take me to see the cherry blossoms next spring. I want to see them with you when you are well enough to walk there yourself. Something shifted in Julian's expression. That sounds less like business and more like a date. Maybe it is, Rachel said, blushing. Then I am firing you as my nurse, Julian said with a grin. You are hired as my consultant and the woman I would very much like to take on a date. 1 year later, Julian walked through a park in full bloom. His hand intertwined with Rachel's. He had made a complete recovery, though he still bore scars. But those scars had taught him something invaluable. I used to think success meant building a bigger company, making more money, he said. I was so focused on achievement that I forgot to actually live. And now, Rachel asked, now I know that the most successful thing I ever did was wake up and find you standing there. Rachel's wellness initiative had transformed his company. Employee satisfaction was at an all-time high. Other companies were asking how they achieved such results. The answer was simple. They treated people like people. I have something to ask you, Julian said. Stopping beneath a cherry tree, he knelt down, and Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. You cared for me when I was at my most helpless. You talked to me when you thought I could not hear. You saw me as a human being worth saving. I fell in love with your voice before I ever saw your face. Rachel Bennett, will you marry me? Through her tears, Rachel nodded. Yes. As Julian slipped the ring on her finger, cherry blossoms fell around them, and he understood that some miracles have nothing to do with medicine or money. Some miracles happen when two people choose to see each other clearly, to care deeply, to show up consistently. Rachel had bathed him in a coma. Yes, but more than that, she had washed away his loneliness with her presence. She had helped him heal, not just his body, but his understanding of what truly mattered. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about unexpected connections and the power of choosing kindness. Leave a comment about a time when someone's compassion changed your life. Your story might be exactly what someone needs to hear today.